Hey everyone, and welcome to the Magnetic Woman Show. I'm your host, Lauren Joyce, the Magnetic Woman. I am one of the world's top sex, love, and relationship coaches for driven and powerful women, and I help you really embrace your feminine, feel confidently sexy, and create epic, passionate partnerships. So I am so excited to start this new project of the Magnetic Woman Show. Now, I've been thinking about this for a while, and it's something that I've wanted to do for my community as a way to give you guys a place to receive incredible content and get questions answered, maybe even get some laser coaching. So I'm just so thrilled to be here. Now, I have some questions that were written in, and if you're live on the call, then you can also ask questions or you can type them in. But first, I want to give you guys some really great content. And I really want to start off, since this is the first episode of the Magnetic Woman Show, in really talking about what is the point of this, right? So there's so much information out there, and when it comes to powerful, driven women wanting to live your best lives, where I see so many women struggling is not just in the love department, but really in accessing your full power, your full potential, and especially how that translates into your romantic relationships. So the reality is there's tons of information out there, right? And we've gone through evolutions and revolutions where we've gained more power, independence, freedom in the workplace. We've gone through the revolution of really taking care of our bodies, really seeing the importance of working out, of eating a nutritious diet, what that looks like, and the variety of different ways that can look for a person in their life, right? But we've seen that this is really important. And now if someone's like, wow, I really want to focus on my diet or my nutrition, my exercise routine, no one bats an eye. And yet it's still quite taboo for people to say, you know what, I really want to work on finding love. I really want to work on making my relationship amazing, or I really want to work on my connection to my own sexuality or my sex life in general, right? And so I've decided to create this show as a place for you to get information on everything love, sex, relationships, dating, and life in general related, right? So a place for you to come, listen to incredible content, and then get your questions answered in a safe space. Now, because this is recorded, if you want to ask a question here live, just keep that in mind. So this recording will be reused. It will be sent out to my email list, which if you're not on my email list, make sure to get on it. So if you don't feel comfortable saying your question on the service that we're using, you can type your question in. And like I said, I have a few questions myself, or a few questions that came in that I will be asking. So before we dive into any and all of the questions, I want to talk about, what does it even mean to be a magnetic woman? Now, if you follow me or have been following me for a while, then you know the importance of feeling magnetic in your life. And this is something that I really think most women, dare I say all women, want to feel. We have this desire to feel magnetic, irresistible, radiant. I mean, the entire billion-dollar, multi-billion-dollar beauty industry is founded on this idea that we want to feel radiant, vibrant, illuminated, right? Like, how many highlighters do you have? I have a ton, because I love that, how that makes me look. But all of that is really just paint on the surface if you haven't done the inner work. So when it comes to being magnetic as a woman, what I really see the root cause being, or the switch that is flipped in order for you to be magnetic, is a woman who really embraces her feminine. So what do I mean by feminine? Now, we all have masculine energy and feminine energy. And our society, the patriarchal culture that we've we live in that has been ruling society and culture for the last like 2,500 years at least is founded on the fact that men and the masculine energetic qualities are more important, better, and the gold standard than women and feminine energetic qualities, okay? So masculine energetic qualities are the doing, the providing, the problem solving, the goal oriented, right? Those are all masculine energetic property or masculine energetic qualities. And if you're a successful, powerful woman, chances are you've built your entire life really embodying those qualities to the point where you've cut yourself off from your feminine energetic qualities. And the reason why this happens is because we've all been brought up to really see the feminine and women as weak, needy, desperate, manipulative, right? And depending on how old you are, maybe your mother worked outside of the home or maybe she didn't. But chances are she wasn't really empowered in her feminine essence. And therefore, what happened was you saw like the shadow elements of the feminine, which is the weakness, the neediness, the desperation, the manipulation. And that happens when that part of us isn't empowered, right? So our feminine energetic qualities are our emotions, our intuition, our desires, our connection to our bodies, and our connection to pleasure, sensuality, and sexuality. So when we hear a lot around the feminine out there, I'm going to be completely honest with you, it drives me up a wall because it all comes down to journaling, meditating, maybe doing some yoga, and then manifesting, right? And so this idea of manifesting is, different people teach it different ways, but if I'm feminine or if I'm in the flow, then I'll manifest. But what most people don't ever really take you to, the point is getting you from your head to your body. So oftentimes, even when people frame the feminine essence, feminine energy, it's still kind of about getting you up and out of your body, which is not the case, okay? So again, powerful, driven women, we've been taught to really own, harness, and find pride in our masculine self, right? The part of us that gets things done, that strives for more, that constantly is pushing forward, that keeps running without a break. And at the same time, we haven't been taught how to really fulfill ourselves as women. And we've been taught to give to everybody around us. And if there's anything left over, then that's what we get to live off of. And we haven't been taught how to deeply and in an empowered way connect with our emotions, how to move them up and out of our bodies so that we can actually alchemize every single experience that we have. We haven't been taught that pleasure is found inside of our bodies, inside of ourselves, and that it's ours for the taking. And we have not ever been taught that it is okay to be fully in our sexual power and fully in our sexual essence, right? So being a magnetic woman means, yes, you love the masculine energetic qualities of yourself. You never let those go. You continue to use them, right, in the game of the patriarchy, and you not just embrace, but celebrate and live from your feminine essence as a way to be the woman who attracts in, who is magnetic. This is why so many women want to be magnetic, because it is actually our natural state when we're connected to our feminine essence. So the masculine does to get, and if you're a woman and you're out of alignment, then chances are that's the cycle that you're running in. And the feminine is to attract, right? So the point of being a magnetic woman is moving from the space of doing to get in all areas of life, especially in relationships, and moving into a space of being to attract. That's the arc and the transition, the heroine's journey of the magnetic woman. And so in creating this space, the Magnetic Woman Show, for me to give you information on how to do that, how to work that into your daily life, what happens when things aren't going the way you want, and answer your questions, it really is going to help cultivate and create even more of the community that I've already created, both online and offline. And so when it comes to being a magnetic woman, what I have found time and time again is that so often we're so quick to dismiss pleasure. We're so quick to dismiss our sensuality and our sexuality in order to try and get past things, to do things, to get things, right? And so being a magnetic woman means that you live from being deeply rooted in your body. You're so deeply connected to pussy, which is your feminine essence, your power source. You're embracing and celebrating wildly your sexual expression as a woman, your sexual power as a woman. Now, here's the thing when it comes to our sexual power. Why do you think we've been so conditioned to hate it, cut ourselves off from it, be ashamed of it, find it dirty, find it wrong? If it wasn't the thing that made us the most powerful versions of ourselves, we wouldn't have been so deterred from connecting to it. Is this making sense? So, but yet, the majority of women around us aren't connected to their bodies, aren't living from a space of pleasure, aren't embracing and celebrating their sensuality and their sexuality. So then there can be this fear of like, if I really allow myself to be this woman that I see myself being, am I going to be alone? Am I going to cut myself off from my friends? Am I going to shame my family? And what I have found time and time again is, despite those fears arising, a magnetic woman always chooses her destiny to be a magnetic woman. You always choose that it is more important for you to be the fullest expression of yourself than it is to cater to your own fears or other people's fears. This is also why I have the Magnetic Woman community, to help connect you with women all over the world who are doing this same work inside of their lives, who are connecting more deeply to who they are, who are allowing their lives to get better and better and better, right? This idea that things can only get so good until the other shoe drops is very much a masculine, but more importantly, a patriarchal view. The feminine sees life is getting better and better and better, going from good to better, to even better, to even better, to even better. And that's why a magnetic woman sees every experience in her life as an opportunity to alchemize it and take herself higher. This is why being able to deeply connect to and move through your emotions is so critical and so important. So being a magnetic woman isn't just all the fluff and the light, it's also being able to go into the dark, to go into the shadow, and knowing that everything is happening for your greater good, for your benefit, and will ultimately take you higher. And this is the other thing. A magnetic woman is the best kind of woman to be in a relationship with. She is like the crown jewel, the coveted woman. This is what separates the girls or the basic women from like the woman that walks into a room and everybody turns around and looks at her. And the reason why that is because we take radical responsibility for who and what we are. We're our fullest expressions of ourselves, and we know our desires and we ask for them. And this is the thing, especially when it comes to men or women who are like really living in the masculine energy, they want to make the feminine happy, okay? the masculine's point and purpose in like having a goal and executing on it is really in service of the feminine, in service to the feminine, because the feminine is the one with the desires. So being a magnetic woman makes you the greatest partner to be with, because it's so easy to be in partnership with you. You don't play games. You don't dip into drama. You don't expect them to read your mind. You know who you are. You know what you want, and you're not willing to settle. And you ask for what you want. And you love men and the masculine to really help elevate them into being, the fullest version of who they're meant to be in the world. So I am so excited to do this more often. The Magnetic Woman Show is going to become quite regular, don't you worry. And so with that, we're going to dive into questions. If you're live with me on the call, you can raise your hand if you want to ask your question on the recording, or you can type it in and I'll read it out. So I'm going to first go over to some of the questions that I got in, giving you guys live online a chance to ask your questions. So the first question that I got in via email was, I still struggle with staying feminine and attracting the right partner. I'd also love to hear more about activating your pussy. What do you even mean by that? Okay, this is such a great question. So really it's a few parts. So the first thing, when it comes to attracting in the right partner, there really is no gold standard right partner. It's the right partner for you. So there's a few things at play here. One, you want to get really clear on what's important to you, specifically how you want to feel with your partner. The other thing you want to be aware of are, what are your patterns, tendencies, behaviors that you tend to get into in a relationship. Because if you haven't done the work to really heal those things, then you're going to continually attract in those similar people who will activate those same patterns, those same unhealthy behaviors inside of you. So you have to do the work to heal that. Now, that doesn't mean you need to be this perfect being before you get into a relationship. Relationships are a beautiful container to do really deep healing work on yourself. So you want to be clear on what you want and how you want to feel with your partner. You will also want to be clear on what are your patterns and have you actually done the work to heal them so that you're attracting in a different kind of partner. So if you're saying that you're struggling with staying in the feminine and attracting the right partner, what I really hear in that is that you continually attract in men who aren't showing up for you in their masculine, and chances are it's because you're in your masculine. So what you want to do there is you want to do the work on really embracing your feminine, celebrating it, living from it, and that will help you attract in more masculine, energetic partners, like men or women, depending on who you're in a relationship with, who are more in their masculine energy, right? So when it comes to, quote, staying in your feminine and attracting the right partner, you also want to look at how much are you staying in your body and how much are you going into your head and overanalyzing. You also, in dating, want to know and really deeply remember that this person in front of you on this date or on the phone, on the dating app, is not your source of anything. So the more you can fill up your cup with what you think you're going to finally get from a relationship, then the better and better quality of partners you're going to attract in. So you also want to hear about what it means to activate your pussy. So pussy is the word that I use to explain my connection to myself, my truth, my sexual energy and sexual power, and really my genitals. So a lot of people use the word vagina. However, vagina is just the vaginal canal from the opening of the vagina to your cervix. That's what the vagina is. That doesn't include your vulva, your labia. And the crown jewel of pleasure, ladies, your clitoris. It also doesn't include your cervix. And so the reality is that we hold emotions, stress, we hold trauma, we hold a lot of things in our sexual organs. So there's a lot of different techniques and work that you can do to release that. But so many women feel shut down and numb during sex or in their pussy because they're not connected to it. So think of your pussy as your guidance system, because your clitoris actually also very much takes in information. It's called the third brain for a reason. And the more you develop a relationship to pussy, really it is the more and more you develop a relationship to your body, to your feminine, to accepting yourself wholly and fully. We've been taught that our pussies are dirty, they smell bad, they are shameful, right? And this is the other thing. So we don't really have a unifying word to talk about our genitals. And this comes directly from Regina Thomas-Hauer, which was one of my very first mentors. And Regina wrote this incredible book called Pussy, a Reclamation. If you're interested in learning more about what this means, I highly recommend that book. So in Pussy, she talks about how if you ask a group of 100 or hundreds of men what they were taught as a little kid to call their genitals, they're all going to say penis at some point. They might say like wee-wee or something, but then they're all going to kind of come back to penis. With women, we haven't been given that. Most women aren't even given a word. It's like down there or private parts, right? Most women don't even know their anatomy. They don't know like what goes on for them internally during their monthly cycle, when they get pregnant, during menopause. So activating your pussy, connecting to pussy, to me means really embracing these anatomical pieces of yourself, your vulva, your labia, your clitoris, your vaginal canal, your G-spot, your cervix, your uterus, right? Like all of it, really embracing it. But to me, it's just this connection to feminine essence, to truth, to power. Because a woman who's connected to pussy, you sit in your body differently, right? Like, let's all just take a moment right now, and I want you to close your eyes and take a deep breath in. And just breathe into your heart. Now, I want you to put your hands over your pussy. Breathe in all the way down to pussy. Can you feel the energy kind of sinking into your body? And again, we're taught to not live from this space because we're taught that it'll attract too much attention, that it's wrong, that it's not like what women do, or, you know, we don't want to be that kind of woman, or you name it. But living from your pussy, activating your pussy, means you're so tuned into pleasure, to sensuality, to your truth, to your intuition, because you're so deeply rooted in your body. Hopefully that answered your question. Okay, next question from the emails is, how do you stay in your feminine when you run a business or work in a high-stress, highly masculine field? Okay, this is one of my favorites. And I love the way that you ask this question, because often I'm asked, how do I shift into my feminine after work? And the reality is, you don't want your feminine to be something that you have to shift into or turn on when you get home. What you want is your feminine to be your baseline, and you to like move into the masculine when you need to and come back. So the first thing is to realize that the feminine is just as powerful as the masculine. So often what happens, and why women are so heavily skewed into the masculine, is we think that we can't get things done in the feminine. We won't be taken seriously. We won't be like respected. And that's just not true at all. right? We also think that like somehow if we're in the feminine, then we're just going to be like laid out on the couch eating bonbons all day long, or maybe we're going to be running the board meeting from like lingerie and like laid out on the table, and that we'll have sex with every single person that's there. And that's not true either. Those are lies from the devil, aka the patriarchy. And the reality is that you want to look at how your day is and see where you can make shifts that you're dropping into your body and connecting to your body. So one of the things that is so important is not necessarily a morning routine in having like a step-by-step system. If that works for you, awesome. But doing things in the morning that put you into your body. So journaling is great, meditation's great, self-pleasuring is great, having sex is awesome. Maybe you just take an extra few minutes in lotioning your body. Maybe you take an extra 10 minutes to sit down and have your coffee and actually experience the coffee versus putting it in a travel mug and running out the door because you're running late. So then you want to look at during the day, how can you put in like bites of pleasure? Because pleasure connects us to our sensuality, right? They're like one and the same. In order to experience pleasure, chances are you're going to be activating one or more of your senses. So you want to look at what are the bites of pleasure that I can put in throughout my day. Maybe I get up from my chair at like 11 a.m. and do a little walk, or maybe I do some hip circles in my chair. Maybe during lunch, I always make sure that what I bring like a beautiful plate to eat off of. Maybe I always have chocolate in the middle of the day. Maybe I have a texting like date with one of my best girlfriends on brags on how fabulous we are, right? So all of these things are pleasure bites that you can do during the day that will help keep you connected so that when you get home, you don't feel like your tank is fully empty and you're like, oh God, how do I fill myself up to be in the feminine so that I can like have this great relationship? You come back at the end of the day already full. Make sense? Great. Next question. So I want to go deeper in my sexuality and really owning my sexiness, but it's scary. And honestly, I don't know where to begin. Yeah. So I just want to see you and hold you in this space. And thank you for asking this question. I get it. I remember when I first started to do this work, right? And it was like almost 7 years ago at this point. And I took one of Mama Gina's courses, Regina Thomas Howard's courses. And on the first day, we were to talk to and decorate our pussies. I wanted to run out of the room screaming. I was so uncomfortable with my body. I was raised Catholic. I went to Catholic school. So the idea of like being sensual or even being sexy felt wrong. It felt dirty. I mean, I remember with my first boyfriend, I would feel so much shame and guilt anytime anything would get any amount of physical beyond kissing, right? I felt like this wave of, I'm horrible, like I'm not a good person because I'm doing this. So I had a lot of really deep religious and cultural layers to shed as I began to do this work. So I get it. It is scary. And it's also scary because it's still pretty taboo. And one of the reasons why I've created the Magnetic Woman Show is because on some social media channels, this content is highly censored. So I can't even give you the fullness of the truth to help you really activate this within yourself. So the other thing to realize is for the last like 3,000 years at least, female sexuality has been deemed as wrong. And so there's probably a lot of family stories as well, and a lot of fear that we won't belong, that we won't be accepted. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to bathe yourself in as much self-compassion as possible, because this work is so liberating. To be completely honest with you, I have done like the gamut when it comes to self-development, and work around my sexuality has been the most beautiful and liberating work I've ever done. Because think about it, your sexuality, it's an innate, natural part of who you are as a woman. And we've been told it's not okay, it's wrong, it's dirty, to dissociate from it. And so, how can you ever feel fully in your power, fully confident, fully worthy if you don't embrace this natural part of who you are as a woman? Not to mention, when you begin to embrace it and celebrate it, it takes you from like level 10 power to level 1,000,000. So, it really is the most liberating work I've seen. But a lot of people have yet to really dip their toes into it. A lot of people in the self-development space that I've seen haven't done this work yet. So there can be this fear of like, is there something wrong with me? Shouldn't I know this stuff already? But why would you know it? Like, most people didn't have really great and definitely not comprehensive sexual education. And a lot of sexual education is around like disease and pregnancy and menstruation versus how to experience pleasure. And so we're taught that our pleasure, our orgasm, comes from and through someone else, which leaves us in a state of dependency inside of relationships and in love in general. And so that's why this work is so freeing and so liberating. It really allows you to take your place as the fully expressed, fully powerful version of yourself. So in terms of where to begin, I would say if you're like me and you want to dive in head first, reach out to me and I can tell you about some of the private work that I do with women and courses that I have. Um, a great book is Pussy by Regina Thomas Hauer, or Come As You Are is another really great book. If you're working on like social conditioning, religious conditioning, Sex at Dawn is a really great book. I'm such a nerd. I love, love, love to read. So I always have tons of resources that way. But reading a book isn't going to actually give you the freedom, liberation, and activation that you're searching for. You really need to be in an intensive program, not necessarily a self-study program, because self-study programs, especially if it's a new area for yourself, like the chances of you actually really going deep and holding yourself, like holding your feet to the fire to get the result that you want, are like minuscule because it's so uncomfortable. That's why I have like working with me or someone like me privately or in like a high level intensive group is where you're going to get the most benefit. But first and foremost, you need to really claim it within yourself. You need to be like, yes, this is what I want to work on, and that's the right thing for me. And have a lot of compassion for anything and everything that comes up for you around wanting to do this work. Okay, so the final question that I got via email, and again, if you're live on the line, feel free to raise your hand or go ahead and type your question in the chat box and I'll answer it. So how do you handle unwanted attention from men? I really want to flirt, but I feel like it's only appropriate to flirt with men I'm interested in. Oh, girlfriend, one of my favorite questions. I just did a whole post about this yesterday. Was it yesterday? Maybe it was the day before. Anyways, I did a whole post about this week. So when it comes to unwanted attention, and I put unwanted attention in air quotes because the idea that any attention outside of the man that you're interested in is unwanted, I think is founded in the belief that we need to be afraid of and guarded to all men in the world, that all men are bad and only the ones I'm interested in might be good, but we'll see. That's just false. It's a false narrative. And I also want to be very, very clear that I'm aware that a lot of women have experienced violence at the hands of men. And in no way, shape, or form do I discount or discredit that. Are there really shitty, violent, unhinged, unhealthy men out there? Yes, there are. Are they the majority? No, I don't believe that they are. So if you've experienced any kind of sexual violence, sexual impropriety, you really need to do the work to heal that. So assuming that you've done that work or you haven't experienced that, seeing all men as a threat and all men's attention as a threat is going to keep you in this cycle of actually never being able to flirt in general, because you're going to put so much pressure on yourself that when you see a guy that you're attracted to or that you like and you want to flirt with him, it's going to feel unnatural. You're going to feel like you're warping yourself into something or someone that you're not. And it's just going to come off as stilted. So you also have to redefine what flirting is. Flirting is just enjoying who you are, feeling confident, turned on to life, and sharing that essence with the world. So men in the masculine are so drawn to women who are in their feminine. And when I receive attention from men, I see it through the lens of they're just reflecting back to me my aliveness, my vibrancy, my feminine. They're just appreciating the feminine. And so I don't get upset. I'm not like, ugh. And because of that, I only ever end up getting attention from men that is like endearing and sweet and is truly them appreciating me. And what I mean by that is, of course, I get catcalled randomly here or there, whatever. But like, I don't go out and have men approach me and really try and cross my boundaries. I have men who are just like, wow, you look beautiful today, or I'm so happy. I can't tell you how many men have come up to me in certain places, like waiters or just random men. They're like, wow, I'm so glad you were here tonight. Like, just talking to you has been the highlight of my night. You know, when I was dating, like, I would have men tell me that they had the best night of their lives with me and clothes were on, right? So like, I don't see their attention, their flattery as unwanted. Now, that being said, if someone ever says something to me that does cross a line or a boundary, I tell them. And this is the thing, because I'm so comfortable and confident in my sexiness and in flirting. And I know that my flirtation and my sexiness is not an invitation for an obligation. Okay, it's not a transactional state that I'm trying to use to get something from them. Like, I don't go out looking hot thinking, ooh, this is going to get me free drinks. And if a man offers to buy me a drink, I accept it. And then if he asks for my phone number and I say, oh no, I'm sorry, like, I'm not interested, 99% of the time, I don't experience a man getting mad at me about that, right? So it all comes down to your relationship with men in the masculine and how much work you've done on it, your perception of men, and your perception of your sexiness and flirting. So again, for me, I don't really see it as getting quote unquote unwanted attention. And again, at the same time, I should say, I don't walk around the streets like in a scantily clad dress at 2 a.m. Like, if I see a guy coming down the other way, I'm not like, oh my God, hi, how are you? You know, because I'm so comfortable in my body, so comfortable in my sexiness, so comfortable in my flirtation, I have mastered how to turn it up and turn it down. And in a situation like that, I turn it down and I really like set the intention that my radiance does not attract him in, right? So there's a lot of different ways that you can go about getting more comfortable in flirting. But one thing is to also look at what does it mean to you if you flirted with people that you weren't interested in? What would that quote unquote say about you? So that's a really great journaling prompt. Like, this is one of my favorite journaling prompts. What am I making this mean about me? Or what am I making this say about me? So if I'm like, oh, I could never XYZ, or maybe like, oh, I have this desire and it's not happening. Okay, what am I making this desire mean about me? Or what am I making this thing say about me? Or what am I making the fact that I don't have it mean or say about me? So that's a really great journaling prompt. Okay, my loves. So the ones of you, and oh my gosh, so many of you have joined live. This is incredible. If you have any questions, now is the time to ask me. And if you're interested in working with me deeper, you're going to want to go ahead and email me at lauren@themagneticwoman.com, or you want to send me a message on my personal page on Facebook. So I have a variety of ways that you can work with me privately. And again, if you're really interested in activating your sensuality, your sexuality, really embodying your feminine, this is going to be the best way to go about it. Okay, my loves, thank you so much for joining me for episode 1 of The Magnetic Woman Show, and I will see you soon.